What's going on, traders, and welcome back. So let's talk about the EA. Okay, so the EA is going to help us make entries, or we can set it up so that everything that we talked about, it can actually do it for us, but we have to activate it when we believe that it is the best possible way for the EA to enter for us. So we have here the settings, okay, and the settings are going to be very simple. All we have to do in here is to know that the entry dashboard, you're going to be able to modify it. So right here, if you want to move it to the right or to the bottom, so you move it here to the right, to move it to the right, the higher the number, the better it is. And then the same thing in here, you can scale this, make it bigger or smaller. So right here, you can change the number, and then either you can want to make it bigger or smaller, okay? Now we have the manual entry settings, where pretty much right here, if you want to sell or if you want to buy, you can click on it, whenever you want to. You can set up your own stop loss and take profit, and then you can also have a trading stop, and then you can change the lot size in here, okay? So that's very nice. You can do that on your own if you want to trade manually. Now, if you want the EA to enter for you, then you're going to set up, pretty much I've given you already the way I'm going to trade it, but still you can change some of the settings, okay? So again, we're going to enable strategy number 1, because this one is going to be selling on the red zones and buying on the blue zones or green zones. So the zigzag period, the arrows have a period, because if we wanted to enter less or more, the settings right now is at 21. But if you wanted to enter less or have less conditions or less arrows, then you can make the number higher, okay? I think 21 is good. Now, arrow options, we have 1 and 2. I think 1 is good because it can give us an earlier entry. And arrow option number 2, well, sometimes it does correlate with option 1, but then sometimes option 2 might give it to us on a second candle, just as an extra confirmation that price is going to keep on going in that direction. So I like option number 1, but then again, there's no best option. Again, sometimes we can get an early entry and then it doesn't work out, and then sometimes then option 2 was best. So it's one of those things where you just can't get the best 100%, right? So if you want the EA to enter on a specific lot size automatically, then you can change that in here. Now, take profits, I have it as ADR, as the average daily range. Each pair has its own average daily range. Now, you can do that as a percentage, or you can do that as a profit. So you can just change it in here as a TP in pips. And then you can say, well, you want a fixed 25 pips, and then that's it. Now, for gold, you will have to add an extra digit in order for it to know that is 25 pips, okay? For gold has an extra digit, so you have to know this. Now, again, so you can just change this up, ADR percentage. I like it as ADR percentage, but again, everybody's different, and then you can do it as you like. Now, I have also stop loss. I do not have a stop loss myself, but you can do that based on anything that you would like. Or you can also have a stop loss based that whenever you make an entry, let's say the EA made an entry in here, then if a candle closes above this right here, this high, then it's going to close the entry. It's not based on a price, a specific stop loss number price, because again, it's when a candle closes above it or below it. So you're not going to see the per se the stop loss set in there, because again, it's when a candle closes, and if a candle never closes above it, then it's just never going to trigger the stop loss, okay? Now we have a higher time frame moving average filter if you would like to have it. If you would like to follow 4-hour or a daily higher time frame moving average, then you can do so. I don't do so, but you can do so as well. If you want, if you want to follow 4-hour or daily or 1 hour, 4-hour, 50 moving average candle, you can do that, okay? Now, the RSI filter right over here, the way I have it as 38 and 62. So it's gonna be pretty much, if it goes just above this level, the 60, then it will start looking for entries. If you want to be more conservative, then you can make this number higher, okay? Meaning that maybe if it reaches to 65, or if it reaches to 70 or 71, you know, that is anything up to you, okay? Just make it as you would like it. I have it as 62 because, again, I would automatically trigger the entry if I wanted to enter or not. The same thing at the bottom. I have it as 38, but you can choose 35 or 30, however you want it. Now, the pullback zones. The pullback zones starts, this is level 1, 2, 3, and so on. So I have it, if price hits level 2, resistance 2, then it would trigger an entry. And then the opposite, if it hits, if obviously everything else needs to meet the RSI, right? If it hits this level, then it can also trigger an entry. Now, if you want to be, again, more conservative, if you wanted to start looking up to level 3 and above, or level 4 and above, then that's up to you. Again, I'm a little bit kind of giving it more way for a trade to start to trigger for me, okay? Now, what do we have in here is we have the enable safety prior yesterday's low and yesterday's low. So what does that mean is that we can have an entry, and I really didn't talk much about this, but we can have an entry. Let's just say, for example, that it went outside prior yesterday's low, but not my prior yesterday's low, my prior. So right here, let's say, for example, we can consider this a bubble right here. So it went outside my yesterday's low, but not outside of this one, or at least the entry happened inside here. Then this is one of those filters, right? Because the other filter is that I only want entries inside prior, yesterday's high and low, but doesn't consider this one. So if you want a little bit more of a leeway, you could do that. But then this is one strategy, is that it also needs to be above this high or low, okay? So right here, this would be a great entry as long as we also have this low right here. If this was higher, then sometimes those trades don't work so well. So pretty much you need to have 1, 2, all these steps going up in order for this entry to work out, and then the same thing selling, okay? All right, so now right here again, we say that, hey, we can make this to true as long as you're going to pay attention. And then, this would have been a great entry because it happened, well, it didn't really close above it. It must close above this one. And then, although we are outside yesterday's low. So you can make this one to true if you want to pay more attention, and then make this one to false, or make them both false, and then you would consider an entry anywhere if you are more of a risk taker, and then you kind of know more or less if you want to have that entry or not, okay? Now, right here, this is filter number 6, inside prior candle. So very simple is what we talked about, that we want to be inside prior candle high and low. If you want to consider then the second prior candle as well, then you can do so, and then you can make it true in here, okay? So again, this is very simple, right? We want to, if the entry happened inside prior candle, or we want to also consider second prior candles to make that entry. So either one, if it's inside either one, then it's going to trigger an entry, okay? And then that's pretty much it. I have also here engulfing candle time frame, and then pretty much what that is that if my, let's say right here, you see this red black candle, we want to make sure that it went inside the body or went below the body of my prior bullish candle, and then the opposite, at least the body, okay? We're not accounting for the whole candle, but I want to account for the body of that candle, okay? And that's pretty much it. So then now the second strategy, this is going to be very simple. It's the same settings that we have in here on strategy 1. The only difference in here is that I want to consider this strategy number 2 is when we enter when a candle closes above or below the moving average. So right here, it would be an entry. See right here, we want to make sure that price is above the MA, and we still hit anywhere in the blue or green area in order to trigger an entry. Before I had it to trigger from, also the red zones, but I don't think we're not ready for that right now. So I wanted to actually to trigger if we are on the green zones at least level 1, and then we are below 50 RSI, anywhere below the 50 RSI, and then we are above the MA, then we can consider an entry, okay? Other than that, then we won't consider an entry. So strategy number 2 is when we cross above it, above the MA or below the MA in order to close, okay? So it's quite simple. And then you have almost the same settings, but again, I already have it ready for you. All you have to do is change the lot size, the take profit, if you want the stop loss, and then if you want to add in the higher time frame moving average, you can do so. And then this pretty much is already set. Then you can also change if you want to consider the second prior candle high and low as well. You can do so, so then you can make it true, okay? And then that's pretty much it. Now, we also have minimum distance between trades. So if by any chance we enter once, the market entered for us once, but price happens to go against us, then we can tell the EA to enter again for us in between the first trade, okay? So we can just say, hey, enter, we want to choose whether ADR or regular pips. So enter in between 30 pips or 50 pips in between, or whatever pips in between, to make a second entry so we can average down those trades, okay? And then we have here, once we enter the second entry, then they're going to close together when they add up to X amount of pips, whether it's 40 pips or whether you choose ADR percentage pips, 35% or so. So this is very important because, again, let's just say, for example, we make an entry here, price goes 30 pips, and then we can say, well, allow it to enter for me again, and then when price comes down, it will close all of it. So the idea in here is that when I say activate sell entries, then we're going to activate, and then we're going to keep it activated in case price goes against us, and then it has to make a second entry, so then it will do so. And then once it does, then it will close everything together. Then, when it closes, it will deactivate on its own. Well, you will have to actually choose on the setting, turn off auto trading. So you're going to click on true, because you want to make sure that when we activate it and it closes a trade, then it's going to deactivate in order so it doesn't enter for you again and again, right? You have to make sure, because once this is activated, then it's going to trigger an entry for you on its own, and then you don't want to leave this baby alone, right? You want to make sure you take care of it and make sure know what it's doing, right? So pretty much that's it. So, if you want to enter it on your own, you can do so. So right now, I am kind of having an issue with the buttons right now as we speak, but we can make an entry on our own and sell and buy, and then that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, please let me know if you have, and then or you can set in questions on the community, on the group, so that they can actually also answer any of your questions.